Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I have something exciting to share with you. It is my first layout and process video for My Creative Scrapbook design team. I was recently contacted and asked if I'd like to join the team, and of course I jumped at the chance and said yes. I love their kits, so really honoured to have been asked and excited to be sharing this with you. So I'm kicking off my design team journey with the February main kit, and that comprises of Simple Stories Life Captured and also some bits from Vicki Boutin's print shop collection by American Crafts. So you get bits from both that are built in together to make the main kit, which is exciting because you get sort of the best of both worlds. You get to play with two collections in one kit. And I'm using the My Creative Scrapbook February sketch for this layout. Each month MCS have a new sketch designed by Laura. So I'm playing along with that today, and I love this sketch and all the paper layers in it. It's right up my street. So I'm using some of the, or lots of the Simple Stories papers from that Life Captured collection. One side of the papers is lovely sort of patterned paper, and then on the reverse you've got a monthly cut apart sheet. So we've got 12 papers, each one a different month. There's lots of bits on the back as a calendar and sort of things that relate to each month. But on one of the sections you get these 6x4 cut apart parts, and they are all different colours. So I've picked out all of the sort of blue and green toned ones just to feed off the colours in my photos, and I'm layering those up. Some of them I've cut in half to use the different bits on different sides so I can sort of stretch them and get the most out of them. They do all have white writing down the side and the number of the corresponding month, but I've just placed them in a way that I've managed to cover that up because I didn't want that showing. But they do all have like a grid effect on them as well, so it's really nice and gives them a little bit of texture and interest. It's a subtle pattern, but they still kind of read as a solid, so really like how they look. Now on the sketch, one of them has a kind of like notebook edge on the top, and I really wanted to do that with my, I've got this American Crafts punching kit there, border punch kit, but I'd already layered all of my bits up and stapled them together, and then realised that I'd forgotten to do that, so I had to pull it all apart again and do that. And then of course that made my that piece of paper that I've used slightly shorter, so then I had to trim the one in front of it so that you could actually see that notebook edge. So a little bit of faffing from me here, but I get there in the end. I've also used one of the tags from one of the cut apart sheets, and I've popped a metal eyelet through that using my crocodile, and I've gone for a nice blue coloured eyelet. Just brings another bit of texture to the page, and I love the way these look on tags. So now I've got all of my paper layers sorted. I've got my two photos, which are of my little boy last summer, I believe, at our local, we have a farm up the road, and in the summer they do like sunflowers and maize and things, and then coming into autumn they do pumpkins. So we were there for sunflowers when these photos were taken, and they've got this gorgeous wooden butterfly that they've painted, and it's really pretty, and it's there every year. So every year I get different photos of my little boy standing in front of it. So with two of those photos, I've got lots of blues and greens in. And also this month we get a Vicki Boutin stencil. It's a gorgeous butterfly one, which I'm really excited about because I didn't actually buy it when it was released, so it was missing from my stash. I'm really excited to see that it's included in the February kits, so making the most of that and using it on my layout today. I am using some washi tape just to mask off areas so that I can stencil individual butterflies onto my background, because I want to have a bit of control over where I put them and the direction they are flying in, so that they are travelling diagonally through my layout. So you'll see on the sketch there's stars in the top left and bottom right, so I've kind of swapped those stars out for butterflies, and I love that with sketches. They give you a bit of sort of creative license to change things and do what you like and kind of make them your own. So instead of stars we've got butterflies. I'm using a mixture of distress inks and distress oxides for those, again sticking to blues and greens to go with my colour scheme, and I've used some blending brushes to apply that colour through the stencil. I'm using the green half, sort of green shade for the bottom half of the butterfly, and then the blue ink for the top half, and the two kind of merge in the middle, giving that kind of ombre effect, which I think is really pretty. And the butterfly in my photo, like that wooden board that my little boy's standing in front of, kind of has an ombre effect. It's sort of whites going into blues, and it's really pretty with the shading. So I've tried to replicate that with those butterflies. Now I have used, again, a bit of creative license here, a bit of freedom. I've moved my title. You'll see on the sketch it's at the top, but I've moved it down to the middle purely because I wanted to use this sticker from the Simple Stories sticker sheet. It's got a lovely butterfly on it and says beautiful, and it just worked so well with the theme of my layout and the colours, that lovely blue tab that the beautiful is written on. And if I'd put it at the top where it is on the sketch, it would have covered up the butterfly in my photo, which I didn't want to do. So I've moved my title down to the middle so it sits in between my photos. So I've got all of that in place with my title. I've got my stenciling on my background. And then as I go to stick things down, I realise I haven't distressed the edges of anything, and I really love to distress edges. I love the texture it brings to the page. And as much as sometimes I do like to try and leave that sort of crisp and clean edged look to my pattern papers, I get so far in my creative process and it's bugging me so much that I do end up most of the time going back and distressing the edges, which is exactly what I've done here. I've had to individually sort of pull the layers apart and distress them, but I do love the look it gives, so happy that I did go back and done that. That's not really good English, is it? Happy that I did go back and do that. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Sometimes I like to try and challenge myself to leave them alone, and I just can't do it. I end up distressing. But that's just me. A bit of a weird one. I have a little bit of a battle I have with myself. And I've added some foam behind my photos there. I like to add foam behind my photos to raise them up off the page, just to help to keep them the focal point. Sometimes when I embellish quite heavily, I worry that my photos are going to get lost amongst all the busyness of what's going on the page. So by adding that foam and raising them up, I find that it helps to keep them kind of the main star of the page. Now I've embellished with a couple of butterflies here. I think they were both fussy cut from a cut apart sheet from one of the Simple Stories papers, and I felt like the right hand side of my layout was looking a bit bare at this point, and thought, oh, what could I put over there? So I went back through the pattern papers to see if there was anything else I can fussy cut, and I love fussy cutting because it's a great way to kind of stretch a collection and get the most out of it. And I saw this little circle kind of rosette type thing on one of the cut apart sheets and thought I would turn it into a sequin shaker pocket. I love sequins on a page, and shaker pockets are so fun to make. So I've cut that out, gutted the middle, and then I stuck it onto some acetate, and then I'm going to add some foam to the back of that to create kind of like a well for my sequins to sit in. I'm going to fill it with some lovely blue sequins, different shades of blue to match the different shades in the butterflies in the photos. And then I'm going to use that to sit on the right hand side of the page. And I'm going to back that with a little bit of patterned paper. I was going to back it with white cardstock so that the colour of the sequins really popped, but I just thought the white would look a bit out of place and stark over on the right hand side there when everything else, all the other layers, were coloured. So I do end up using a patterned paper for that. So if you've never made a sequin shaker pocket before, they are super easy, as I said. You just need to have something on the front, back that with some acetate so that you've got a lovely see-through window at the front, then add some foam behind it to create some depth, that little well for your sequins to sit in, and then obviously fill it up with sequins and back it with something. And I do prefer to use double-sided tape for shaker pockets wherever possible, because it just means that things stick together instantly and I'm not waiting for glue to dry and my sequins aren't getting stuck to wet glue, and sometimes they get a bit messy with wet glue. So I do prefer wherever possible to use double-sided tape, and you saw how quickly that's come together. And then I'm just going to use some more double-sided tape to get that stuck in place just over on the right there. And I love that that just brings a little bit of bling to the page and makes it a bit more interesting. Just going to come in now with some more of those stickers from the Simple Stories sticker sheet. Again, I'm sticking to the blues and greens wherever possible. So I've popped a sticker down at the top there that says The Good Life, and one at the bottom that says Love Today, and again, love how those look. And then I've got some of these lovely heart stickers. There's quite a few of these in the Simple Stories collection. You get them in the sticker sheet and in the die cut pack. So again, sticking with blues and greens. I'm going to run out very quickly, but I've got those on. And then these are the puffy stickers from American Crafts by Vicki Boutin. So I'm just adding a few of these as well. I absolutely adore these. Every Vicki Boutin collection, I tend to buy these. They're just lovely, and I love the way that black pops on the page. So I will be using those in some of my other layouts this month for my creative scrapbook. But for now, I've picked out some of the gold elements from there. So you get gold circles and gold hearts. So I've just picked out, I think, 4 or 5 gold hearts and a couple of the circles, just to add here or there, just to bring in a bit of sparkle. And then I decided to go a bit crazy and add some mixed media to the edges. So on the sketch, there's a black line around the edge. Now that could be represented with a pattern paper border or frame, or some doodling. If you're into doodling, you can doodle a border around the page. I'm going to do some mixed media just around the edge. Initially, I thought I would just do sort of 2 diagonal corners, and then realised I'd done the opposite 2 corners to the way that my design kind of went through the page. So you can see with those butterflies, the way I've positioned them, my design kind of goes from top left to bottom right. And then I applied the ink to the opposite diagonals, which really bugged me. So I, at that point, decided to just go a bit mad and do my mixed media all the way around as per the sketch. So again, I've pulled out some blue and green distress inks and distress oxides. So the green I've used is Twisted Citron, and the blue I've used is Mermaid Lagoon, and I just felt those were the best 2 colours to go with my photos and all those lovely pattern paper sort of journaling cards or cut apart cards that I've used behind my photos. And I just wanted to bring in a little bit of detailing to that mixed media, a little bit of black to finish the page off, because there's a bit of black in my photos, the outline of the butterflies, and then the butterflies that I've fussy cut, I've got quite a bit of black in. The Simple Stories heart stickers have got a black heart, so I wanted a bit of black. So I've just done a little bit of faint stamping, just using a stamp from my stash on the outer edge. And then I've come in with some black splatters. I can't resist black splatters. I absolutely adore them, especially on a white background. So for this, I've got some black acrylic paint that I just add a tiny bit to some packaging and water down. And then just to finish the page off with a black pen, I'm adding just a doodled border around the outside edge. I just feel like that finishes the page off nicely. And then that is me finished. So I've got some close-ups of the final page coming up for you. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and the process, and it's given you some inspiration of ways to use the sketch and also the February main kit. I will leave some links in the description box for you to the My Creative Scrapbook website and our subscription page, and also to the My Creative Scrapbook Facebook group. So do head on over and join us there for lots of inspiration. But thanks very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this process. I'm really excited to be sharing this layout with you, and thanks again to My Creative Scrapbook for having me. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.